and all you damn kids,
Right.
Hating Halloween and hating all the kids, cursing the teenagers and whatever. I mean, it started with that, and then we didn't see that man for the whole entire movie, and then it comes back to him at the very end for the final scene.
Right.
And that's supposed to be the wrap-up, I guess. Because a lot of times I think it's like, how do we want to end our movie? We've done our story, we've got our survivors. There's usually they got out and everything's okay, or is it? But it didn't have that kind of an ending. It had just something totally, someone else's story basically wrapped it up, this old man's story.
Right.
I don't know if we want to, I don't know if it's some big reveal or something.
Let that be a surprise to anybody that's going to sit down and enjoy it.
But yeah, I don't know how I felt about that old guy's story, but I enjoyed how it started and ended with something different, I guess.
That's cool.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think so. What would your final rating for that movie be?
Well, if I use your 10-point scale there, that's a hard one because
well, I'm going to say we're going to assume that anybody that's listening to this podcast is going to be a fan of horror movies. So,
right.
Does that make it any easier?
Why, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
Well, if I were to give it a 6 rating, that's, I think it's okay, but would suggest it to a movie lover of this type, which is how I feel about it. But I do think 6 is maybe a little low. I enjoyed it more. It didn't feel like a 6 movie to me because I really like that kind of a movie. Right.
Well, I'd say for me, I'd do the same thing. I'd give the movie a 6, and if you are over the age of 30, give it a +1. And if
there you go.
Yeah, and if you specifically like 80s cheese, then give it another point. So I'd say give it.
Hey, if you're over 40, throw on another point.
Oh, man. Yikes.
Well, because, I mean, you were a teenager, sort of, when it came out. Or you were just leaving your teen years. I don't know.
I wasn't, but...
Well, if it came out, anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you were maybe touching 20, but still.
Okay, so you're a 6 with a couple of bonus points in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, cool. Well, that wraps up this one, but let's talk about Orphan in just a moment.
It's going to be hard to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not.
All right. Well, the movie that we're going to be talking about is Orphan. And this just came out not too long ago. Release date was July 24th, 2009. That's according to IMDb, anyhow. And what do you think? How'd you like the movie Orphan?
This one I liked quite a bit, actually.
Yeah?
I did.
And
it's going to be really hard to talk about. Don't want to give anything away at all.
That's true. Unfortunately, we had this somewhat spoiled for us by an unlikely source, by another TV program, and I don't. Do we even mention what the TV program was?
Oh,
I don't.
No.
No. All right, that's good because I don't want to give anything away. If you haven't seen this movie, like us, though, I think that the majority of the people that I've talked to have seen this by now. And either loved it or hate it for a few different reasons. If you haven't seen it, I would say this is definitely worth a rental at least. I don't know if I would buy the movie, but this is one of those movies that at the end of it, I was disappointed because there wasn't any special features to delve into. I really would have liked to have learned a little bit more about this. What do you have to say about it, if anything, to start out with? Do you have any thoughts that you'd like to put out there?
Like I said, that's a tough one because, yeah, it's real hard to not give something away.
Well,
I guess I can say that the people who I talked to who had seen it, it was interesting because I'd heard that some people, hated the twist. Oh, my God, the twist at the end was, oh, God, lame or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was great. So, and then, our 22-year-old niece was like, oh my gosh, you guys have to see this. Oh, call me when you're done watching it, because she couldn't wait to see what we thought of the ending. So it's all about the ending. But aside from the ending, I enjoyed the journey, getting to the ending. I thought it was well acted and definitely well played out.
It definitely was. Now, a couple of other movies. Did you ever see The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin?
Oh, man. When it came out years ago, I really couldn't tell you much about it.
Okay. The only reason I bring that up is because that's one movie that I can think of that some people like to or have compared this movie to, in the fact that, it's a new child coming into a family that seems to be misbehaving or seems to be...
All they need is a little bit of love, and everything will be fine.
Well, yeah, that's the way it seems, and that's what some people believe. But yeah, and I don't think even if the story did follow a little bit of that plot line, like you said, it was entertaining and it was about the journey, and I think that I enjoyed seeing that, even though I had seen a couple other movies, like I believe The Bad Seed and The Good Son. I still enjoyed it. It didn't take anything away from it. I was waiting. It's a story that maybe hasn't been done, say, as much as a zombie or a vampire movie. But there are movies like that out there. But because it had a resemblance to those movies, I still don't think it lost anything. I still enjoyed the journey.
Oh, yeah. Well, and since they don't really say what it's about, all you know is these people adopt this little girl, and obviously you can see she's evil in some way, but it's just the whole time I was like, what is going on here? It keeps you going and guessing, and what's her motivation, what's she going to do, what's going on here, is it like, because I love evil child movies, Damien, is she like Damien? Is she
right,
she possessed by the devil, or is she just a crazy child, or
right,
something supernatural going on? Is something supernatural not going on? You don't know.
Well,
when you said that another show ruined it for us, you should say that.
Not ruined it for us.
We had a handful of endings for this movie, and we had one of the possibilities right on.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a movie that you, I talked earlier in one of my other podcasts about the movie Frailty, where it's great to, in that movie in particular, to just like let the movie wash over you, just sit down, enjoy it, don't try to second guess it, don't try to put,
exactly.
Just let it happen and stuff. In this movie, it was just, for me at least, it was just as much fun to try to figure out what was going on the whole time. And this was one where, I'd say go ahead and speculate, see if you can figure out and guess what it is.
Yeah.
And hopefully you haven't had that ending spoiled for you already.
Oh, yeah. I wish that I didn't think about it so hard and didn't think I knew what was going on, because we pretty much had it dead on. But, I kind of wish that I'd have not thought about it so hard.
Really? Okay.
We just can't help it, can we?
No, I don't think so. But being fans of these type of movies, it's good that you can still see and experience and enjoy it. But, there is a movie that took me completely off guard, and I've probably already mentioned this before, so it might be redundant to those that have already heard the podcast and stuff. But The Descent was a movie that took me completely off guard because I didn't know what to expect, and it was a movie that absolutely affected me. Like I said, it affected me in a way that no other movie has recently in my adult life, because it just gave me chills and stuff with a couple of scenes that were in there that I talked about. So, I definitely didn't get that kind of a feeling from this movie, but I absolutely enjoyed it. And one of the other things that I was going to mention about this movie, I initially had a letter printed out that I was going to read from one of the skeptic sites that I go to, just as, with my other interests in magic and so on. There's a site that I go to, and it was interesting to me because somebody had taken the time to write this movie, write a blog or whatever about this movie, and condemning it and so on because of the fact that they felt it portrayed adopted children in a bad light. But yeah, upon reading the letter, which I'm not going to go into here, the movie wasn't even out yet. So it shows the ignorance or the willingness of people on the web in general to criticize things before even giving it a chance, which I think is too bad. And then, like I said, once I read further into the letter, I also realized that this person was promoting their own book that they had written, so on the subject. So that they had another agenda too. I certainly hope that nobody would be put off from adopting because of a movie.
No.
Certainly not in this matter. I was surprised at the beginning of this movie to see that they actually had, I won't call it a disclaimer, but they had a regarding adoption. You caught that there too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure that you knew that this was not based on anything that really happened, and
right.
Then it showed you, pictures of kids that are up for adoption right now and gave phone numbers and things where you could call to check into adoption if you're interested. But, yeah, they want to make sure that you're not going to be put off.
Right.
But if you watch this movie all the way to the end, I mean, it was
I don't think that
pretty
was
spectacular. I mean,
right.
Wow.
It's not a case-by-case scenario of things that happen every day, so wouldn't be worth filming at that point.
Well, and these people, they picked her out real fast.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I'd be visiting often and getting to know some kids, and, you pick the one that's standoffish, that's, I don't want to say different than everybody. There's nothing wrong with being different. They made sure to say that in the movie.
Yes.
In this case, there's everything wrong with being different. But, you want to pick out a child that looks like they're socializing. It's like picking out a pet,
Right.
You want to pick one that looks happy and healthy, and this kid was like creepy right out of the gate. So they were kind of asking for it, picking her.
Right. Well, what did you think of the girl that played that?
Oh my gosh,
Isabelle Fuhrman, I believe is her name. Isabelle Fuhrman.
She was great.
She was absolutely great. Everybody, and you mentioned that earlier on too, right, when we first started talking about it, which was everybody in this movie, I think, put in a good performance. Not just her, but her siblings or her adopted siblings.
Yeah, and they were all very believable. They were all very believable in their roles, and yeah.
Cool. Well, we're running a little bit long on this. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it down to 30 minutes. So let me ask you real quick, what is your rating for this movie?
I would rate it pretty high, actually. Again, if I use your 10-point scale, 9 is a great movie that's missing something. Mm-hmm. It's somewhere between. I don't really know what it would be missing.
9.5.
But I'd give it a pretty good 9, or 10 is a must see. Mm. I have a lot of trouble giving anything a 10.
Right.
But I would definitely say this is a must see.
Okay.
I can't think of anybody really that I would not recommend it to.
Okay. So,
I mean, unless you don't like suspense, horror, creepy.
Well,
if you don't like that, then...
Real quick, I want to interject that, for probably, I'm going to say the first 30 minutes or so, roughly, I was thinking, why is this horror? Because it seemed strictly suspense to me. And then just like kind of hit you in the head like a hammer almost, that it suddenly became horror at a certain point there. So
and I'd still almost, what is horror? We could talk for 5 hours on that. It could almost be seen as a suspense thriller. I guess there's definitely horror elements in there, but
yeah. So what would you say? 9.5 or a 10?
Yes.
7.5 or what? Give me one quick.
It's floating around a 9 or a 10.
9 or a 10. Okay.
Definitely a 9.
I'm going to say definitely a 9 too. Yeah.
It's just 10 is like so perfect that it's pretty close though.
It's pretty close. I was going to say if there was a score that I could have said, oh, the score is great too. Not that this was bad. It just didn't stand out as being wonderful. So for that, I'll say that's the one thing that's wrong and give it a 9.
Really?
I'm just making things up though. All right.
You're just making this up as you go along, aren't you?
Absolutely. People should know this by now. So, at any rate, thank you very much for joining me, and you, Lori, and then, yes, thank you to our faithful listeners, and that's about it. So, okay, thanks a lot. You can say goodbye now.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay.